Hello guys, we're loving making these video podcasts for you, but we need your help. Head down to the description, smash that big red button. No, not that one. Hit the big subscribe button, like the video and turn on notifications to keep these videos coming in. Hope you enjoy this week's episode.
You just said everything.
No,
I
said every. I think. No,
Okay.
everything. I think is what I said.
No.
I don't think you did.
Angus, back me up here.
Definitely
Everything.
Oh, well, no, I'm not getting involved here. Don't.
No. Oh, there's no K on that word. There's no K.
It's my southern accent.
It is your southern accent. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Low Expectations podcast. We get in there, episode 13. We are slowly but surely getting there. We have got a very special guest with us today. Oh, guys, you shouldn't. Oh. Cue the applause.
Like, what's happening right now?
Just turn on the waterworks
Sorry.
a bit more. I'll put on some sad violin music in the background. Yeah.
Please do. That's brilliant.
Well, Harriet, do you... Oh, wait. I just said your name. Introduce yourself.
Oh.
Okay, right, here we go. You've got...
This is why I introduced the podcast.
This is why you
Angus.
introduced the podcast. Okay,
Oh.
well, I'm going to give you 30 seconds, okay, to tell us the story of your life, okay?
No.
Wow.
It's not that interesting.
All right, are you ready? 30 seconds,
No.
okay? Literally anything that's like useful information about you. 3, 2, 1, go.
I'm Harriet, otherwise known as Harri Charli. I'm 29. I'm a behind-the-scenes photographer, trying to be a blogger. I was from the Isle of Wight, but I've been everywhere. I'm now married. Whoop. I'm a Christian.
Yeah.
I have tattoos.
Tumbleweed.
I dye my hair.
3, 2,
no, this is-
1. There we go. Great.
That was great.
This,
Oh, my
this is
pajamas.
Sums up
Harriet.
everything perfectly.
This is Harriet, and she dyes her hair. Like, that
That's
was amazing.
it.
That was
That's all-
great.
that's all.
That was like bullet points. That was like a list. We could like.
It was. I was like, boom, boom.
was
It's
great.
usually when people question, I'm like,
It's so funny how like much people like stress under that. It's like I feel
I
like
am sweating.
yeah, like
we need to get everything in.
Yeah, I
every
just-
single thing that I've done throughout my
because-
life. But
yeah, exactly. You
perfect.
don't-
It's like, this is what I like. This is what I do. This is where I live.
yeah,
Done.
precisely. You don't really think about like. I guess you don't really think about that like in sense of how would I describe myself in 30 seconds. But there you go. That's the biography. You can buy it.
Done.
You can buy it in Waterstones now. It's just a poster. It's like,
Brilliant.
great. Well, welcome Harriet to the podcast. This is amazing. We wanted to get you on for a little while. So you've come on now, which is great. So we're going to chat to you today.
Thank you very much.
We don't have much of a plan, but we'll just go with it. But one thing we do have a plan for is our favourite game, quickfire questions. So if you thought that was stressful,
I've literally just said I'm sweating.
if you thought that was stressful,
You ask me stuff, I sweat.
I feel
What
like
is
this is just going to be the Angus show today.
oh well, Joel,
feel-
you
This
can
is
do
great.
this
I
if
feel
you
like-
want.
No, I don't want to do it, but you've
Okay, great.
taken my little intro spot, and now you're going into
Well-
these. I'm just sitting here quietly.
Well, no. Well, right. After this,
Oh.
I'm not saying a word. So.
All right, good.
Oh no.
For the
We just all
for the better.
Okay,
all just stare at everyone.
here we go. These are
Oh my.
quickfire questions. First thing that comes to your
This is
mind, Harriet. Okay.
Not a lot happens here. What happened?
First thing that comes to your mind when I say, what's your
Oh, no.
what's your favorite color?
Black. That's not a colour.
What's your favorite album?
Oh no. Hybrid Theory, Linkin Park, or Bring Me Stuff.
Right. What noise does a duck
All
make?
of, all of them. Quack.
What noise does a squid make?
Wait, was that right? Yeah.
It was the
Quickfire.
it was the arms as well. It was
Keep
great.
it going. Keep
Oh.
it going.
What noise does a squid make?
What?
What's the
It's underwater.
what's the last thing you ate?
sausage, but it was no, it wasn't. It wasn't. It was fake bacon.
Fake bacon.
Yeah,
Is that like
this is not
vegan
bacon. You
stuff?
get it? Yeah, it's amazing.
It's
You're
not
like-
really
we're still
bacon if
going.
it's-
We're still
if
going.
it's-
What's the
sorry.
what's the last thing
We'll
you
go back to
drank?
that.
Coffee.
Okay,
But
great.
I've got a monster lined up.
Grab the nearest thing to you that's name begins with M.
Mobile.
We'll take it. We'll
Is that-
take
We'll
it.
take it.
That's okay.
That was good.
Microphone.
Yeah.
Microphone.
That's what I was
Okay.
thinking of.
Wait.
Okay, cool.
I want to go back to this fake bacon thing.
Yeah, let's rewind
If it's
here.
fake bacon and it's not bacon, is it really bacon?
No, it's fake bacon. That's the point.
No, but it tastes like it. I'm not even kidding. It is. I think it tastes better. It's so like spongy and nice. It's so good.
I remember when someone made me like a jackfruit burger once and just told me it was pulled pork, and I ate it, and it was honestly the most disgusting thing I've ever eaten in my life.
Oh,
Like,
I think it's the best thing.
Public service announcement: jackfruit does not taste like pulled pork.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah,
No.
I've just not understood the branding of vegan bacon or whatever, because it's not really bacon. It's just all like processed gush that potentially tastes
Yeah,
similar.
but I don't think
Yeah.
they'd sell as many if they branded it as vegan processed gush. Like,
Yeah.
if you saw that on the
Give
shelf,
it, no, just,
2 for
just give
one,
it-
I'll have that. Like,
just give it a funky name, like
and this is why Joel doesn't work in marketing.
I'm trying to think of something good.
That's why they called it "This Is Not Bacon."
Is that
I
what it's
think
called?
it-
Is it called
is
This
it
Is Not Bacon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that's
Yeah,
That's
This
a
Is
pretty
Not
cool
Bacon,
name.
yeah.
There's,
Yeah,
oh
yeah,
no,
yeah.
there's some really cool like brands that have names like that. Like, there was one that's there's a shampoo. Is it shampoo or like some kind of like toiletries company
Blue.
that's like
It's blue.
blue.
It's blue.
that turn the water off while you use me or something like that, and that's the name of their brand, and it's just like, and I just love those. I love those
That's pretty
brands
cool.
that have names like that. This Is Not Bacon's a good one. I like that.
Yeah. No, I'm not even kidding because I've always been meaty, and
Same.
Meaty.
like with the pandemic, meaty.
Meaty.
That sounds cool.
My name's Harriet and
But-
I'm meaty.
Meaty.
And that's the
That's
Instagram
hideous.
clip right there.
Please. But no, but the band that Brian works with, most of them are vegan, and we were doing like a shoot and stuff, and the guilt when they were like, "Oh, what have you just had? A bucket of chicken?" And we just walked in, and it was like, and I was like, crickets, and I could just feel it. I was
This
like,
is
"Oh,
not
no."
chicken. That's what we
There
had.
you go.
There you go. There's,
Well, this is it,
there's
and then-
KFC. You know, like Joel's just giving you a new marketing campaign. This is not chicken.
I love KFC. Yeah. So we were like super on meat and stuff. And then with this pandemic stuff and all the rest of it, we're like, let's just try. And it's really helped like digestion and stuff.
Oh, nice.
But with the bacon stuff, like it tastes better and it smells better too.
I found
So
a
we're
lot.
thankful.
Like I know a lot of people that have switched over just to try it or the veganuary or whatever, and like
Yeah.
and it's not necessarily that they're like I want to become vegan. It's like, oh, you know, I'm having like digestive problems or whatever. I'll try it, and then actually it's really helped.
Yeah.
And so like
It
I
really
guess
does.
Yeah. Probably would help
It
me,
was
but I
an
just love
emotional-
meat. I can't.
Oh no, I'm exactly the same. Like every single meal we were having meat, and it was the weirdest. It was really, really hard to switch over. But honestly, digestive wise, because I've struggled since I was a kid, so it's actually like helped so much. I didn't realize how much meat can be an issue. So like health wise, it has really, really helped, which is good.
We've turned this into a food and lifestyle program. This is great.
Yeah. No, it's
Shall we,
interesting.
should we
This
do
is
some
the- this is the
should we do
talking-
some baking next week?
We don't need to talk about
Yes.
anything like creative. We just go for
Talk
this
about
is
bacon.
not. This is not bacon.
This
not.
is not bacon.
Can we call it that?
Yeah, let's just call it. Let's call
great.
the episode. This is not bacon. Can we
that-
change the whole
Perfect.
podcast name to "This is not
Yeah,
bacon"?
just this is not bacon.
Podcast.
This is not a good podcast. Or like
I
love it.
That would
That's
be the
amazing.
greatest name ever. Why didn't we
that'd
think
be the
of that?
greatest name.
It pretty
Yeah.
much, actually, to be fair,
Yeah, I mean,
low
to be fair,
expectations is pretty
exactly.
much implying.
It's brilliant.
So in the preparation for this episode, Joel got a little bit sidetracked, and so me and Harriet were sat here chatting for like 5-10 minutes. How has lockdown been for you, Harriet? How have you found it?
Great.
Oh, sick.
It's been really good.
It's been great. Frosties.
I don't know. I think at first I was secretly, I don't know what it was, like when like Boris Johnson announced like lockdown's happening, we were like, ooh. So we ran to Tesco, we stocked up, and it was quite therapy. I really enjoyed it. And it was the idea that, you know, we'd all kind of, in our house, we were like looking out. I don't know what we expected to see, but we were kind of looking out our window like.
You could see the virus
someone else,
walking
like,
down the
what's
street.
Yeah, this was it. And I was like, what are we doing? And we were just eating like, ooh. Like,
I remember
you heard it here first. Harriet stockpiled at the beginning of lockdown.
how many rolls of toilet paper did you get?
We only got like one pack
okay, good.
because we heard that this was an issue.
That's fine.
And people were proper like,
I remember
Charlie's like stocked up.
I remember like the dodgy looks, like even if you got like one of the multi packs, like you just be walking around and like everyone should be like, oh, you're the devil.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
It's like,
How many of that is that just for
is
you?
that just for you or is that for?
You could get the 4-pack.
Yeah.
I think I went in towards the beginning of lockdown and bought like 2 crates of like must have been like a crate of Corona and then like a crate of
I did the
Corona
same.
ironic and then like a crate of like I don't know Amstel and Moretti or something and everyone just looks at you because they look at you, A, you're stockpiling, B, you're an alcoholic, and like it's like they're both like not acceptable, and so everyone's
Especially
just like judging
Angus.
you, like
Drinking in the park with his mates. no one will understand that unless they've listened to the audio only of Ian's.
oh yeah.
Angus is getting boozy in a park with his mates. Are they even his mates? That's the question. Go
That is a
back
very
and
good
listen
question.
if you want to find out more. Yeah, I don't know. I remember the first thing that I did was we had a shoot with the church, which was like the initial stages of like online church, and
Love it.
we were supposed to have another shoot the next day. So I left all my gear at the pastor's house, and I was just like, oh, we're not allowed to do this shoot tomorrow. And I was like, technically lockdown hasn't started. Can I please come and just grab all of my gear now? So I just jumped into
Oh
my
my
car,
goodness.
sped round and get everything. But yeah, apart from that, like lockdown's been pretty fun.
I remember
I think it's been good, honestly, because as I say, like Brian's always touring.
Yeah.
So I think even he was a little bit relieved because literally all this year it was tour. There was arenas. It was crazy. So for us to actually be able to spend time with each other, we were like, whoa, this is great.
Yeah, for sure.
And he was still getting work in as well, which worked out really, really well. And it was like, yeah, it was nice, and it forced us to be productive. We had to look to other ways to kind of think about money and all this kind of stuff. So
it's really interesting because it kind of
Yeah,
feels
it was
like
really
it's
good.
been like a bit of a like push on the brakes for people who've kind of like needed it in a sense. It's like people, you know, like you say, you're super busy and like always doing stuff, and like while we really didn't welcome the push on the brakes, and we were all like, you know, this has kind of messed everything up a little bit, but also it's been a bit like, oh, now we got some time to like reflect what's actually important to us, what do we need to actually spend time and money on and all this sort of stuff, and think about it in that kind of way. And I guess that almost is kind of like a lifeline for most people. Like if you've been touring for however many years and you finally actually had time just to sit down and talk to each other, or like, you know, have more than like a month at home where you're not going off touring or whatever. So
yeah, it was also kind of freaky. I don't know if you guys saw some of the Insta stories where they're like, guys, I've had time to reflect on my life and I have achieved not a lot. And I was like, oh man.
yeah,
I think
definitely,
it is.
I think, yeah.
It's that kind of like stay at home kind of thing when you've been so busy. Like I had it to an extent. I wasn't going all over the place like you guys were, but even just like before lockdown, I had so many shoots on like all over like around the UK, but it just gave me like a just chill, like take a step back, and then you can hit it even harder when it gets back. But like we've had so many people that have come on, like whether that's like musicians, artists, or even like other like tour-based videographers and stuff. They're all just saying like how much of like a relief it's been, and it's like it's the complete opposite to like how so many like other people are kind of viewing it. But when you've got that kind of schedule of tour dates, like gigs all over the place, shoots,
It
whatever.
can go into like 2 years.
Exactly,
It's
it's
crazy.
ridiculous. So like just having like what is it like 4 months, 5 months
I think it's 4 or 5, isn't it? Something like
of
that.
just like pretty chilled back. Obviously, it's gonna from now on it's gonna suck because we're like, oh, we want to be back doing
yeah,
stuff.
this is
Yeah.
it.
But
Yeah, we were saying that. Yeah,
it's
it's like we were looking at like festival footage, and we were like, oh no, okay, now it's kicking
Yeah.
in. Now we're upset.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did that a few weeks ago. I was clearing out some hard drives and like just looking through everything that I do need and what I don't need, and going, oh, I miss like filming people and not worrying about coughing on them, and you know,
yeah.
I love coughing openly.
yeah, like I just love gobbing on people, like, but I just miss,
Yeah.
I miss like not having to wear like a mask and things like this, but.
Yeah.
I guess that's just like where we've gone now. Let's talk about like photography. Obviously, you said you're a photographer and you do all sorts of photography. How did you sort of get into like? When was the first time you picked up a camera? Was it fairly like all throughout childhood and things like that, or was it
No, it was. I fell into it and I lied my way up.
right? Amazing.
Yeah. So basically, I was when I was in my early 20s, I was modelling and I was a signed model, and because I didn't look anything like this, it was all natural, barely any tattoos, and I was doing that for like 3 or 4 years, and then I, long story short, ended up in San Diego,
As you do.
and like, that was a ridiculous story, but yeah, and yeah, so I ended up there, and I was just like. There was so much good food. Well, I say good food, tasty food. And there was like burritos
Yeah.
and just cheese.
Not bacon.
And I was like-
all of that
Not-
stuff.
Yeah.
No,
this
it was
this
just
is
like,
bacon.
meat and everything.
The real
This was bacon. And I was like, my goodness, I'm on holiday. So I was like, because obviously it was very pressurized and I was a size 6. I was very underweight. And it was like, I had work when I got back to London and I was like, oh my goodness. But I was also drinking a lot at the time, so I was like, oh, I should enjoy this holiday. So I just ate my emotions and I got bigger. And I extended my stay to like 3 months.
Right.
And I was just like, I don't want to be a model anymore. I just want to eat. And I was having a great time. It was amazing. From having like 4 years of strict diet and everything to then eating. Ooh, it was so good. But then when I went back, my agency was like, whoa. And I was like, there goes the career. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to think of something else to do. And it was kind of like an inspired thought. I just thought, sorry, I'm gonna get a camera. And it was this really old, like Canon 7200, whatever it was. It was from Curry's for like 500 quid. And then I headed on back up to London. I was like, oh no, I don't even know what I'm doing. I don't know like what I was thinking. Maybe I could do blog stuff. And it was my friend Ben Healy, who he works for like agencies, like top agencies. He was like, well, why don't you come along to my photo shoots and practice with your camera? And that was honestly the beginning. It was like I just went. He was doing his thing, so I had no pressure.
Right,
I was
yeah.
just trying to take pictures of him
Yeah.
doing all the hard work, and it was great. And he had all these agencies, and from there, the agency started using my photographs, and I was like, whoa, that's I just threw them in black and white and got away with it. So it was like. It was insane, really.
Yeah.
And then suddenly all these models started contacting me on Instagram saying, I saw you work with so-and-so, he's my friend, can you take mine? Like my pictures. So it daily started to build up. And then there was like, yeah, it just went from there. It was crazy. I never thought about it. It just kind of like was an inspired thing that just went.
Yeah.
When was that?
That was in, oh my goodness, that must have been like 3 years ago now, I reckon.
Oh wow.
So 2016 was party year. It was probably towards the end of that year into 2017. That's when agencies happened, and then I actually lied my way into an agency. So I
best
was
way
like
to
their
do it.
main photographer.
Amazing.
There's no other way. In all fairness, they weren't really asking for much. I was like,
Yeah.
they're like, so you've done this? I'm like, sure. And they just let me in. It was insane. So again, that was like mega contacts, and then these
Yeah.
agencies just kept getting in contact.
I've heard so many stories of people just lying their way into jobs where they're just like,
Yeah.
like I'm literally like I'm just the best at this. Like I could sell, like, literally people can sell themselves without having a clue what they're doing. Sell themselves
Yeah.
into a role and then just learn how it goes. Obviously, don't try this at home, guys. It might not go. It might not go well for you.
I know so many people like in like live events industry and stuff like that. It's like, oh, I was like, an assistant or a stagehand or whatever. I got a photo of me at the gig. Oh, suddenly I was the sound engineer, or like, and that's what it ends
so
up.
true.
That's what it
It's
ends
so
up on the
true.
CV as, because nobody would check it.
I
There's a
do
photo
think-
of you, like.
I do honestly
that.
think that like that kind of thing with Instagram is a blessing and a curse, because like somebody could somebody could take some like massive camera, just like a runner on a shoot or something, just pose with it and just be like, yeah, here you go, just flood their page with all of these photos, and then someone's obviously they need the stuff to back them up and stuff, but I reckon so many people would just take that at face value and just be like,
Yeah.
oh, he's got this massive camera. He obviously knows what he's doing.
Definitely.
Just go with that.
No, it
So
is.
you've got to be really
It's
careful.
easy, yeah. Oh yeah.
But yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's
No,
funny
it's-
that
Cool.
it's funny that that's
And here I
that
am.
worked for you. I wasn't. I thought you'd been doing it for like so much longer. Like after like seeing your stuff, I was just like, oh, she must have been doing this for like 5-10 years, whatever. Like,
Fluke. I'm telling you, it's a fluke.
so I remember
It's
the first
insane.
time I met you, it was Big Church Day Out. I think it was King's Village.
No, it wasn't.
Oh, was it?
Was
Was it
it
House?
was House Fires.
King's Village were there. King's Village were there.
I'm
Yeah,
in the middle
yeah,
of
yeah.
something
They
here, and I'm
bonded
not sure if I feel comfortable.
I remember because obviously my sister-in-law Pippa was like kind of organising all of the creative teams, camera teams and stuff, and she was just like, oh yeah, like this new photographer is coming over, like Harriet, and I was like, oh great, like we'll just kind of like track each other throughout the night. And then she was like, yeah, she's told me to tell you that when you arrive, she looks like somebody that doesn't belong here. I was just like,
I
okay.
look like I turned up to the wrong
Literally,
place.
that's exactly what you said. And I was just like, I don't know what to expect.
brutally honest, yeah. Like,
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
I was literally just like, yeah, okay, and
And yeah, you spotted me straight away and you understood.
and then yeah, obviously since then we've done actual Big Church Day Out and like
Yes.
David's tent and all of that stuff, and then you've
Yeah.
moved to where I live.
Yeah, that sounds really weird.
Not to literally where I live, but like,
And then I followed you.
but now
Yeah, no.
now we go to church together. We don't go to church together because nobody's allowed at church, but
No. But we
So it's
we attend the same
weird.
online
where,
church.
Where did you grow up?
I grew up on the Isle of Wight.
Isle of Wight.
I
What
never used to
happened-
tell that to anyone. I always used to say the South. I never used to
it's
say
just a little bit further south
Near
than what people
Southampton.
are expecting.
in this abandoned island. Just make it sound like really.
Yeah.
What happens on the Isle of Wight? Does anything
we have a
happen?
festival. We have Isle of Wight Festival,
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
which is the thing.
The only thing.
No, I'm going to be so careful. The thing is, it's a really beautiful, stunning place. It's absolutely amazing. It's gorgeous. You've got beaches and forest, but it's very small town. It's like I said, I tried to explain to Brian, I was like, people know you farted before you've even farted. Like, people know your stuff before anything's even got out. So it's like, but it's true. And it's very small community. And I still remember at school, like going into, because I wanted to go into acting and stuff. And I still remember like being sat down and saying, look, the chances of you getting off here and making a go of it aren't high. So it's good to have a backup, which was usually to have a family. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. But it was very much, you were set up from the beginning, I feel, like not to succeed or get away. So that was my immediate, like, I've got to get off. I've got to get away kind
Yeah.
of thing. But it's great in terms of like the beauty of the place and visiting. I now really, really enjoy it. So
Yeah. I've heard that quite a lot, even just from like locally around here, where
yeah,
like so many people have like gone like have like these huge dreams and stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I want to do this, this, and this, and then kind of just like get a little bit more comfortable and then slowly fade out. And it's like it's really interesting to. If you don't make that kind of like jump like real quick, then it is so easy to slip into just like oh yeah, like I'm just happy. Yeah. I'll just get a family and I'll just have this little whatever, and it's just like, oh, that's completely different to what we were thinking like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah. It's cool if you want that thing, because I genuinely, I know people that from the beginning were like, I do want a family life. I want to do that kind of thing. And I remember going like, wow, that's so different. That's amazing. And they've done it and they are so happy. And I think that's pretty weirdly kind of inspiring. I'm like, wow, okay, that was what they wanted to do and they did it. But for me, it was just like, no. I was very content on single life and just exploring and not falling into similar patterns. And I remember when I started photography and a lot of people were like, how are you doing it? Because they've been studying it since they were like 15, 16 and still weren't getting anywhere. And I said, well, A, it's fluke, but B, it's because I'm not tied there and I have more people to work with in London. Like in London, everyone's just wanting to create and they've got time for you and all that kind of stuff. So
I think it's that as well, but it's also that of it's just about work ethic and how willing you are to just put your name out there, go and do stuff. Like it's easy to like kind of just like sit back and be like, oh yeah, like I hope that this comes if I go out and do this every now and again. But as you said, like you were like contacting or you were being contacted by like people like all the time, just like, oh, come out and shoot. And that's the best way that you can do it. Like that's what we try to do with like the video stuff. We'll just be, oh yeah, do you want to come and shoot this? Do you want to come and do this? Like we've got this new idea, and it's just continuously doing. It's like a repetitive nature, and if you keep that repetitive nature, it's going to become second nature, and then it just becomes.
And then more exciting things come as well. Because it's also taking that risk because I've even had times when I was back on the Isle of Wight and there'd be shoots and like the ferries were closed down because there was a storm. And I'd be like, oh. And people would be like, oh, that's just a write-off. Yeah, no, you can actually get stuck over there. But there's like, or people would be, oh, I don't really want to travel. I've never been like that. I'd be like, right, how do I get there? How do I, try and figure it all out? So, yeah, it's definitely that kind of mentality of making it happen somehow.
Yeah. What was your thought process when you kind of left the nest and like decided to go out and pursue this whole big thing? Because you spent quite a lot of time like away from England as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I did. That was kind of later on though. I think, to be honest, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. All I wanted to do was act. So I knew I had to get into drama school. That was like my thing. So I went to college and then I just went over to Bournemouth and Poole.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that was the break free kind of moment. And it was like, I've never really been, I think, like, this is my plan, this is what I'm going to do, whatever. It's always been the case of I've been open to kind of opportunities. And when they arise, I'm like, right, go for it if it feels right. Basically, I'm a bit jammy in that things do tend to come to me and I go, okay. And I've even had messages recently being like, how did you get on this film set? How did you get on that? And sometimes it's who you know. Yeah. Sometimes it's an Instagram post.
A lot of the time.
It doesn't make sense.
A lot of the time it really is. But it's like,
yeah.
Oh yeah, like I know somebody. Like somebody could be 10 times better than me at like what I'm actually doing. But I know the right person to get me into it. It's like, oh wow, like it's good to know this stuff, but it's better to know people and to get that kind of relationship.
100%, it's who you know.
That's the thing that I always track back to is like if you can like leave a lasting impression on somebody, like a positive lasting impression on someone.
How am I here?
I think that was aimed at me a little bit. Like
no, I get you back every now and again, Angus. Don't worry.
Yeah. No, you're right though, because it's like, well, you know, like there's always this thing of it's literally like I've just been at college studying, you know, live events for the past 2 years, and the number one thing has been it doesn't matter what you learn here. If you're a dick, you're not going to get work. Like,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
literally, you've just got to be a nice person. If you know nothing, it doesn't matter, because if you're a nice person and you're present and you're
willing to work hard.
Exactly. That's if I rock up, the amount of events I've been to where it's like I've literally been there as like a runner or whatever, and it's literally been go get this person a coffee, whatever. But then you get to chat to people and you get to talk to people and you get to know people, and then when it comes around the next year, you've got the chance to go, oh hey, could you possibly like try and get me in like here or whatever, and it keeps spiraling from there, because eventually you meet someone who does this with somebody, or someone who knows this person who does that, and they're looking for this or whatever,
Yeah.
And I think the best opportunities I've had in the past 2 years have literally been the text the day before. Hey, really sorry, somebody's just dropped out. Are you around just to come and help? No pressure. Like, we're not going to pay you or anything. Like, but like, would you be able to do this? And I'm like, yeah, sure, let's do it. I mean, you go and you meet someone who then gets you a job the next week, or And so
that's exactly it.
It's entirely like, I feel like I can't really talk about it. I'm still very new to this all, but like, that's entirely the way in. And obviously it's the way that you sort of, well, I mean, apart from lying to an agency, but like, but that is the most natural progression.
Yeah, it's interesting though, because kindness is key. It is absolutely key, because when I think about like the House Fires gig where I met all you guys at in King's Village and all that, like I was a little bit nervous, and everybody came and introduced themselves to me, which I found very bizarre, because I'm like, I'm just the photographer. But that kindness made me excited for like Big Church Day Out. And the team at Big Church Day Out were absolutely amazing, like just so full of love. And it was that made me like then become friends with like Pippa and all this kind of stuff, which then led me to your church, which then I was like, well, if Brian's on tour all the time, I want to be at a good church. Yeah. So through that, it's like kind of the journey, how we ended up being here, which worked out really, really well.
Yeah. Apart from lockdown.
Kindness is...
Apart from lockdown.
Well, yeah, that wasn't great. We literally moved in and we're like, oh, new church, this is great, this is feeling amazing. Pandemic. We're like,
church doesn't exist anymore.
I remember the last
bizarre.
time that I saw you was at Big Church Day Out last year, which is an absolute travesty that we haven't seen each other since. But that aside, anyway. But I remember the last time I saw you, you and Joel had a nice little... can you explain what actually happened on that night?
Wait, what are we talking about?
You two having...
Are we talking about the ages?
You two were having a bit of a, I didn't want to call it like, like I was like, Mum and Dad are arguing.
It's more like
it wasn't
kind
an
of
argument.
brother and grandma.
It was quite funny though, and I was just trying to pack up.
I didn't realise how young you were.
Neither did Angus.
I thought he was 24, like... And I was staying at his house.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
And I was 16, 17.
I actually turned, I think I was I turning 18 or 19?
19, because you were like, because that was it. We were all chatting. It was such a good atmosphere here. And it was like, yeah, it was all great. And then you mentioned your birthday. I was like, oh, how old are you going to be? You're like, oh, I'm going to be 19. I was like, what? I was like... And I suddenly felt like an absolute grandma. And that was it then. And I was like, I had the silver hair.
Little correction there about like we were all chatting and enjoying. I was trying to edit. Like I was like, everyone was packing up. I still had an edit to finish. And I was like, can you all just shut up? Like, and go away. I just get this finished because we're not doing this after we left. Like,
I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember it ending with me being chased around like the site that we were editing on, and then me sat in the car with Angus and Luke, who was the other videographer, just being like, I was like, I feel like I've stepped over the line here. I feel like I should message her, and I feel so bad.
You messaged her, and like,
you did, and I got your message, but I went back to my tent like laughing, like found it the most funniest night I think I'd ever had, and I was like, wow, I am old. So anyway, I was just kind of like getting into my sleeping bag, and you're like, I'm so sorry.
Take my dentures out. And like...
I was like, oh, I feel like I'm like, I don't know. I just felt really bad for like. I don't know.
So funny.
It was good fun. It was good
but
fun.
Like, it's what you say about like that team, spirit. And I guess like you're right. It's such an amazing like team to be a part of, and such a nice vibe around.
You've got to be able to
area.
have good banter.
Definitely, like because you're all stressed, especially at Big Church Day Out, where it's like two 2.5 days of just.
I wasn't. I was chill.
You were chill.
There was no pressure though. I loved it.
I was
just
stressed
going
because it
around
was my first like opportunity, I guess, to like prove anything.
I think
I don't know what I did prove, but I was.
The difference with us was like there was so many photographers running around, so like it was like shift work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think was that shift based?
Not really. No, it was the case of we had kind of like cards of things that they would
Okay,
ideally
I
really like to capture, but it was you were completely free to wander wherever you kind of wanted, and as long as you got that shot, great, go and enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the vibe. That's why I liked it.
Yeah, so
It's really nice.
Our one was a little bit different because it was I was kind of heading up my team, and we weren't actually hired in to do the highlights in the end. We just kind of lucked out on that one.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we were just doing like social media stuff and like those little snippets. So we had to be at every single act, film, and like literally by the end of the act, we had to have like an edit out. So it was
without a golf buggy. Without a golf buggy.
Like so we were
having
like,
to film.
Oh yeah.
What was that about?
Like
So
40 minute
That was
walk
insane.
from the media hut to like to the Kingdom Come.
Up to the country.
Yeah.
I got super fit that weekend just walking up that
Oh
hill.
no,
Yeah.
I just got
was
super
insane.
annoyed at like slow walkers. Like
there was a few
yeah.
times. There was a few times. I don't know if you did, Angus, but towards the end of the weekend, I just lucked out and just got buggies all around the
Oh
shop.
really? Oh no,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I did. So
I noticed you flying by.
what's quite funny is that like you look at the like everyone who's like driving buggies backstage or whatever, or helping in the artist lounge and things like that, and they all go to St. Peter's Brighton. And so it was just like, it was literally luck of the draw. It's just like someone's driving past, I'm like, oh, I know you. Can you give me a lift?
Jamming.
Like,
Yeah.
jumping on the back.
Who you know?
No, literally, again, but like jumping on the back of a buggy and then like turning around and realizing like Pat Barrett's next to me, or like, like it was just really weird things, like jumping on like random people's buggies or whatever. I don't think I got a buggy up to Kingdom Come at any point. I think we did for the bonfire, but that was it. But like,
We did for the that was
on
brilliant.
the,
when
like,
Joel fell down
towards
a hole.
the end of the.
Wait, what?
Do you remember?
Oh,
you
yeah.
You kicked over. I didn't even realise what was going on.
forgot that
We
happened.
went up there on the bonfire, and everything was like everyone's peaceful, everyone's lightly praise. It's got that atmosphere
Worship.
going. And like I'm getting ready for that kind of thing. And I was getting ready with my camera. I just see Joel opposite, and I'm not really paying too much attention, and I just hear like this massive crash. And I'm like. And the bucket, the actual like fire bucket full of water or whatever, literally just went everywhere. And you're like, oh, sorry, with this big old camera. And then I think you tried to exit, then you fell down a rabbit hole. And I was like, what is going on?
They
funny.
literally
Brilliant.
they hated me so much after that. Like they were just like
You said that. You went on the right
I
run.
was-
You were like, Christian Festival.
I was sat there, and they were literally just staring at me for the rest of the time that we were there. I was just
So
like,
funny.
it was an accident. I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry if somebody falls into the fire and you don't have water now. But apart from that, like,
I'm okay.
What I found towards the end of the weekend though is that like when you've got a big camera and like I think I was wearing like fairly heavy boots and stuff like that. If I just walked really angrily, people would move out of the way. And like, and so it was
You've
just
got to
like-
have an attitude.
It was
Yeah.
asserting the dominance. I have a AAA pass.
this
you
is why
don't.
I'm important and you're
yeah,
not.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
I love it in the badge.
yeah. I find
Sort of
also
carry on.
sometimes it's really funny because at these Christian events, everyone's a volunteer, pretty much. Like there are a few people who are being paid
Yeah.
or whatever, but most people are volunteers. So that stewards are volunteers. So the thing I found, not so much a big church day out, maybe it's Soul Survivor or whatever, is that you'd be somewhere that maybe like you shouldn't be if you were just like a delegate. You're allowed there because you've got a AAA pass or whatever, and the steward would come and tell you off, and you'd be like, ha ha. And I have the pass
I love that. It's
says
so
I'm
satisfying.
important. Like,
AAA.
it means nothing. It's a piece of
I-
paper. Someone could
by-
have stolen
by the end-
this.
But you
like,
do
know.
feel good.
But it makes
By
you
the
feel
end
good.
of by the end of the weekend, they just knew who I was.
Yeah.
It happened the year before
No, I had
as
the
well.
opposite.
Oh, really?
So I remember right at the end when we were like running around, they were like fireworks, like backstage, blah blah blah, and I had to be like
Yeah.
bobbing it back and forth. And he saw I had a massive camera. He knew that I was like sprinting around. He was just like, and just opened the gate
Yeah.
for me. He was just
Yeah.
like,
I didn't have that.
Yeah, I got that eventually.
Everything was fine.
I guess.
No, see,
I guess
I regressed. What happened?
When you've got like a massive like cinema camera running around, it might be a little bit different because nobody's gonna rock. Well, maybe
exactly. I think it literally was. It was just recognizing the camera more than anything, and it's like nobody's.
I just need a bigger camera. Basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Like.
I was going towards. I remember it now. There was this particular lovely lady towards the end of. It was on the end day. And I was just running around. I remember, was it for Elevation? I think it was. And I was like running. She was like, whoa. And I was like, oh. And I was just like, she's like, pass. I'm like, oh. And I gave her such effort.
Shall not pass.
Where have you been? Like for the whole weekend, I just asked off.
Yeah.
And I was just like, she was like, but she was doing her job. She did it.
I got told off because I was wearing a white t-shirt on stage at one point.
And that's the
like they didn't care during the day, but as soon as it got into the evening, and so
you were glowing.
I went and changed. I went into the Portaloos and I took my top off and put a black one on or whatever. And I went back on stage, and there was like 5 people just stood on my side of the stage in like luminous green, and I was like,
the thing is, like,
was it like the friends of like the
yeah,
worship
exactly?
team? Though?
Who'd like
you get away with a lot when you're part of the group.
Triple A.
That's the thing though. Like when I remember Andy Mineo doing his set, and I was like, oh, like I'll film it, and then I'll pass the camera off to Angus, and then I'll just go in and just get involved. And there was one part where he was like, oh, everyone get into the mosh pits, blah blah blah, and there was like
what?
There was like 3. Yeah, literally. It's a Christian mosh pit, so it's nothing like.
Oh, okay.
Nobody's getting punched.
They're not swinging arms around and stuff, but like it's like a full on. And there was 3 like individual ones. And he's like,
I love that.
But then as it went, the last time that he was there, he was like, oh, like everybody, like there's somebody like looking for. She's dropped her phone, like basically pretending somebody's dropped their phone. Everyone goes into a circle. He's like, you can't stop. Jumps into the middle, and then everyone just. I love this guy so much. Cool. So I was like, I want to be involved. And there was 3 like individual ones throughout like the £20,000, like £20,000, like 20,000 crowd or whatever. And there was like 3 main ones. And then they all kind of formed into one massive one. And it was just everybody on the drop just going, boom. And then we all just rush. Like everybody's getting flopped, like stamped on. And then I just remember this seeing just this of dust just going everywhere. And like, because like I couldn't breathe. Because there were so many people just like running.
That's when you know you're doing it right.
Yeah, and like there was dust everywhere, and we got back and we were just covered in dust, and I was like, I cannot wear this. Like I was like sweating, I was like full of dust, and I was like, I cannot wear this t-shirt. We had to literally run up to shoot early, like 5 minutes later, and the only spare piece of clothing I had was a Chicago Bulls Michael Jordan shirt.
I wondered where this came from. Suddenly you were out in your life.
And I was like, I'm just going to have to go for it. And I just remember everybody just like, I was like, so I went early and then straight to LZ7 afterwards. And then everyone was just looking at me just like.
I think that's been the lesson for me, is that the number one thing in my camera case is a spare t-shirt.
Yeah.
Or 2.
Yeah.
Like,
I got lucky
Joel
later
has helped me learn that.
But I got lucky later. I just chucked the hoodie on for the after hours bit, and it was fine. But it was fun. I love Christian.
I feel like
festivals.
we've
They're
just
so
like
funny.
we've just been
They're
reminiscing
great.
about like the church day out.
Yeah.
I love it though. It was such a good time, and I'm missing it quite a lot.
Yeah, it's really annoying that it didn't happen this year. But next year's gonna be like even better, definitely.
I think
If we were like in redneck America, they still would have gone ahead. They'd be like,
exactly.
nah.
They are
it's
like
fine.
Yeah.
The power of the Holy Spirit will be with us.
We'll protect you. I've been seeing it on my
God
Facebook.
will protect
and I'm like,
us from COVID-19.
It's like, yes,
is
he will,
it.
but you probably should wear a mask as well.
well, this is it. It's almost like just going through anything with life. I can touch fire. I can like run off a cliff. It's okay because God's with me. Yeah, he is, but he's also giving you a brain. Like, use it. You know what I mean? Please be careful.
He's not protecting you from stupidity.
Public service
There you go.
announcement.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Moving on from the whole as much as I'd love to just sit here and chat about festivals all day, and I'm hoping that it'll be back next year, but you've just had a pretty monumental part of your life happen in the last few weeks, haven't you? She's so confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you?
Marriage.
You got married.
I'm not sure. I'm not really sure what's happened.
Not
I
a
was
huge
thinking through. I
change.
was like, we've done a video.
I ate some.
No,
not
the marriage
bacon,
is more than that. Ended up getting married, which was, it's so weird. It's like I'm so not used to playing things up or making them big. I find it very strange, which is why I like behind the scenes photography. It's like kind of being in the background a bit, but that was even the case with the wedding. We were always planning an elopement. I didn't want anyone there because I find it too nerve-wracking. And then so it was quite bizarre. We actually managed to make it happen in lockdown. It was insane.
So weren't you supposed to be going to like Portugal or something? What was the situation with that?
Oh, I feel like Joel's just ripped the plaster off. Like, brace yourselves.
Well, we were quite confident because we were looking at places that were opening up. So we were like, Portugal's opening, Italy's opening. We're like, everyone's, had their kind of holidays cancelled, all their plans. And we're like, we found the loophole. We're smart. We're going to book this and we're going to go to Portugal and get married, because we were doing it online. Anybody can apply for a marriage license through the state of Utah, which is insane. You have to have like your documentation and all this, but you can apply for it. So we were like, so we're going to have this officiated online, so we could be anywhere in the world. So we were like, we're gonna make this bougie. We're gonna try and make it worth a celebration. So we had it all booked. We had Airbnb. We purposely got it so it was somewhere it was really nice and romantic and whatever. So we got all packed up. Got the hotel booked the night before. Well, we were so not thinking things through, but we were ready. And we basically, first of all, we had an issue with the hotel, and they're like, so can we see your identification for because you're essential worker? And I was like,
yes, I have a camera.
We're essentially traveling. And they were like, you shouldn't be here. And I was like, we've just traveled over 2 hours to get here through the night. Wow. I was like, oh no. But thankfully they okay, I hope they don't see this, but they did let us stay, which was actually against their guidelines.
Someone's just got fired.
Yeah. I won't say where, I won't say who, but yeah, because otherwise we would have had to travel and whatever. But then I just had this really weird feeling in my stomach. I was like, Brian, can you just double check for me if we can actually travel? And we went on the government website, and it turned out that I could travel just about, because it was I think it was the day before they were locking things down again. But Brian, as a US citizen, could not, because their cases are so bad that US tourists are not allowed
anywhere
within the EU. So we were like, it was kind of that thing where we're like, so excited to get married. And it was like 3:00 in the morning when we found this out. We're like,
oh wow.
What?
I remember
insane.
I remember seeing your stories, and you're just like, you were like pumped up, and then it's just like, we're not allowed on the plane. We're home now.
It was ridiculous. We travelled back through the night, and it was like at 3 a.m. And we were like, what just happened? We should have just stayed at the hotel, to be honest. And then Brian came up with this idea. He's like, no, we could still travel. I'm like, but the flight's gone. He said they could book us on another. I was like, oh my God. So we drove all the way back up. This time we went up to Gatwick, and we were there no representatives there. No one's there. So we were waiting for like 3 hours, only to be told by this Ryanair guy who was like, oh, I don't deal with that. We're going to have to call. We'd already been on hold for like 4 hours. We just had to let it go. We were like, nah.
And then
it's not working.
What was the kind of workaround?
Well,
how did you tie the knot?
Oh, it was literally, so we were like, well, we didn't want to change our date. So we were like, if we set up a Zoom call with all of our friends and family, then they're kind of here.
Yeah.
And we literally just did it in our living room. We literally just did it in this room,
Oh.
like over there. We just got like an Amazon Prime order full of flowers and just like decorated the place. And it was just like, we had like little I don't know if you can see like little candles coming down from the ceiling when we kind of like tried to set it up and stuff. And we literally did it in our living room, like full on dressed up.
Amazing.
I was playing GTA for half the day. It was great. It was actually
But
very
but
chill.
you're not going to forget that. That's the thing, is that like,
Yeah.
it's totally up to you what you're going to remember and what, you know, like. So I love weddings like that, and I love stories like that. Like, I know some photographers that like specialize in doing like quirky weddings or like small weddings and things like that, and you're just never going to forget it. Like, I remember I was filming like a family member's wedding that was on Brighton Marina. And like, I remember them like their wedding photos, and they were taken outside the Pizza Express logo. But like,
That's
it's
quite
like,
cool. I quite like that.
I found it a bit weird to start with because I'm used to doing the traditional, you know, like outside the church and all this sort of stuff. But like, I actually loved it because I was like, this is actually really fun, and this can go on like my portfolio and things like that, and that like catches. But the thing is, you scroll through Instagram, you see that photo that catches your eye. Literally, it's like a bride and groom in front of Pizza Express. You don't usually see that, you know, and so
It's brilliant. Yeah,
things like that I just love.
I find it really weird that everybody has the same thing that millions of people have done before. I find that quite bizarre. But it's kind of like it's a really special moment. It's quite private, I think. It's like, you know, between you and, you know, your partner.
Yeah.
And everyone's kind of gawping at you, and I find that really strange.
Yeah.
It's people that you don't know. And I'm
Yeah.
like, you're seeing me make one of the most serious commitments to somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I never really
No,
understood
I do
it
get
anyway.
that.
So
Yeah, it is a bit strange because it's like in front of like, well, some of them are up to like 300 people or whatever in these huge churches, and it's like, imagine if like, you know, no, like, like
No.
or something as that being stood up at the altar, you know, like things like this.
Does
There's so much
anybody
that-
have
can
any
you
words?
imagine?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or
Like, you
forever
see-
hold
you
your
see
peace.
these-
Yes.
You see these horror stories like on like movies and TV shows or whatever, where it's like, stop the wedding, someone runs
always in
in
front of a
I'm like, can you
massive
imagine
crowd.
everybody you've ever known who's at your wedding, like, and that happens, or something like that happens, or you slip, or you know, like you're walking down the aisle and you fall over or whatever, you know, like there's so much that can go wrong. I know, we're just like, there's so much that can go wrong. Obviously, like most of the time it doesn't, but like part of you always thinks like, would this just be easier just to do with like 5 of us or whatever? I'm kind of excited. I'm filming a wedding next week or the week after. That's, you know, obviously weddings can only be 30 people at the moment, so there's 25 guests, myself, a photographer.
I think that sounds sensible.
And I love that.
Sounds
I
good,
really hope people aren't
Yeah.
wearing. Well, no, that sounds bad. I really hope that not like the face masks aren't like really obvious, like, because it could be really difficult. But I'm not sure if people will be wearing masks or whatever. But like, I quite like that size of wedding. I think that's kind of cool. You like, you know everybody there. It's quite, you know, it's intimate.
Yeah.
And that's
The only thing I would say is we did miss kind of the excitement afterwards. You know, when you're kind of celebrating with people. I think if we'd have been normally traveling like we usually do, and then would have done it, eloped, absolutely fine. But it's the fact that we've already had like 3 months with nobody.
Yeah.
And then we had the big day.
Yeah.
And then after the Zoom call ended, we were like,
great.
cool.
Go back to
Let's say,
GTA
then we just
now.
started playing video games. That was
Yeah.
exactly what we did.
Yeah.
I just played GTA for the rest of the day, and it was really cool. But there was that kind of it's a bit quiet now.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Are
it's
you
a
gonna
bit
do something? Are you gonna have like a wedding celebration thing after the lockdown and stuff, or what's the plan?
Definitely. I want to see people from church. I want to see, you know, like, there's quite a few people in both countries because obviously my family can't travel over and I'm not affording to buy everyone tickets. So I think we'll do 2. I think we need a big old gathering with Brian's family, and I've got a lot of friends over in California, so we'll do a big gathering there. And then hopefully like a nice gathering here as well would be really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it's
I feel
quite
like
nice how we've sort of like, you know, it's almost, it's put a spanner in the works like lockdown, but it's given us time to like plan everything and actually think about what we,
That's
you know.
true.
So yeah, I'm excited to see what's coming out of this, because we're getting into that point now where it's like the season's ending, we're going into a new season, and things are slowly like we're coming out of lockdown. Whether that's the right thing to be doing or not, we don't know yet. But like that, everything's transitioning a bit. We're sort of getting into a different season, and things are going in a different direction. I think I'm super excited for all that. But yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like we've just gone completely. We were supposed to come here and talk about cameras and photography and stuff, and we've just not.
Who cares?
So
Talk about live.
sorry to anybody that signed up for that. We'll get Harriet back on at another time.
Yeah, definitely.
And we'll chat about cameras and stuff. But
In
I
person.
think
In person. Yeah.
in person. Yes.
There we
Definitely.
go. That would be way fun.
Yeah.
I reckon we wrap it up there.
I think this has been great. This has been so good to chat to you,
been good
Harriet.
It's been so nice.
Thank you for coming on.
Go for it. Take a look at gulp.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I need
We
Monster if I
like
don't
to
have
drink
Monster during the day. Don't drink alcohol, so I've got my Monster.
Gets it down in 3, 2, 1.
And on that note, I think we wrap it up there. Thank you so much for
Awesome.
listening/watching. We're not going to go into an extended audio today, just because I feel like that was an hour worth of extended audio right there. So,
Harriet, where can people
That's an hour.
find your work and stuff on Instagram and things like that? What are your...
Oh, just go to Instagram. No, I'm joking.
just
Yeah,
follow me on
I've
Instagram,
got-
please.
I know I have two. I had to split. That's one thing I did. I split it into two. So photography wise, which is kind of more behind the scenes, I've got Harri Charli photo or my blog stuff, Harri Charli, and there's links to the website through there.
Amazing.
Cool.
Brilliant.
And
Go
I'm
give-
sure
go give Harriet a follow.
We'll
And,
chuck that down in the description. So just go and click that link below. And whilst you're here, also whilst you're down there, go and press that subscribe button
Don't say smash that like.
and smash that like button.
Smash that
No,
like-
that'll be in the intro. It's like press the post notification button, smash that like button.
Smash that like button. Oh.
Can we have
And
a
enjoy the
petition for
episode.
Joel never to do an American accent again?
I don't know why I've been doing
He was
that
just
a
like-
lot lately, and I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why either. So, thank you so much for watching the Low Expectations podcast. This has been great.
Bye.
Awesome. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.